This is the way Halo Combat Evolved is meant to be played. Halo Combat Revolved is a mod created by Rosie Muscovy and Connor Don for Halo Combat Evolved on Halo the Master Chief Collection for PC. The main objective of this mod is to give longtime Halo players a fresh and exciting new experience to the 2-decade-old campaign of Halo Combat Evolved. Combat Revolved adds and changes certain enemy positions, roles, and improves the enemy's behaviors. Revolved also modifies various weapons and introduces dynamic lighting throughout the entire campaign, which contributes to the bump mapping that isn't very present in the PC port of Halo Combat Evolved. And if you feel like the graphics are washed out in retail, this Revolved mod corrects that for you. The use of shadows and minimal lighting on the Pillar Bottom's bridge, along with the saturation of the Chief's armor and visor, is just one example of how sharp this game can look with this mod installed. As the lighting from the Pillar Bottom's cutscenes match the lighting during gameplay sections, you really start to notice how much better the Revolved visuals are. These improved visuals are not just achieved by making the shadows more pronounced. Assault on the control room, for example, brings in a more noticeable fog effect, which allows the obscurity of the sky and canyon walls to look closer to the original design intention on the original Xbox. With that said, the fog lurks in areas of the map not even seen in the original version of Halo, yet it's so welcoming as it provokes the feeling of a truly cold environment, more so than the original Xbox version of Halo. There are many surprises Revolved brings to the player, some being visuals, yet many being enemy encounters. Simply adding a hunter in this beginning section, in which the hunters are no longer a one-shot kill to the back, allows the player to be a bit more creative in how they get rid of the hunter. Using ammo is one option. I've always advocated that Halo Combat Evolved has a unique combat gameplay flow that no other Halo has been able to replicate since. There is seemingly a distinct, methodical, and smooth flow that provokes aggression and then brings the player back to recollecting themselves to determine their next move. Well, in this Revolved mod, I feel that this unique gameplay flow is even more realized. The enemy AI has been improved to favor survivability within a group or on their own, more so than in retail. And considering Jackals can now wield plasma rifles, you'll start to witness the more resilient enemy AI that are not limited to just one weapon. A new variety of weapon-wielding Covenant troops and adding some new ranks like the Grunt Ultra seen here gives experienced Halo players a fresh and exciting new challenge while retaining that original gameplay flow. By the way, I don't think I've ever seen a Grunt die in this pose before. The methane tank propping the Grunt up? That's hilarious. The Needler now has pink needles. In Halo Combat Evolved, the retail version, this was not the case. But the changes to the Needler are not just cosmetic. When you melee with the Needler, you deal more damage than any other weapons. Something else I noticed, the projectile needles have a much higher velocity and did not super combine on energy shielded elites until I compromised their shield. Plasma grenades now stick to any type of surface, so the placement can really work in your favor. Sometimes. The assault rifle has a much tighter spread. All bullets land within the actual reticle in this Revolved mod. With the more accurate assault rifle in Revolved, you and your allies can really push forward on those now larger assault encounters with the beastly assault rifle without feeling as though some bullets will go astray. Factor in the UNSC Marines' health increase and shrugging off friendly fire like it doesn't exist, and using the assault rifles to their true 900 rounds per minute functionality, then you will experience a relentless friendly fighting force to run alongside with. The UNSC Marines also maintain a distance on the Covenant. After all, they have a firearm for a reason. By now, it's simply clear to see that this mod is more than just a visual pleaser. Now, it is important to acknowledge that 343 Industries is planning on updating Halo Combat Evolved on the Master Chief Collection to correct some of the graphical discrepancies that has been present on the Gearbox port, found on the Master Chief Collection. 343 Industries' intentions are to closer match Halo Combat Evolved to its original Xbox version graphically. Therefore, this mod is still, without a doubt, going to be worthy of a download, even if you are seeing this video after Halo Combat Evolved has been updated graphically on MCC, the Master Chief Collection. We have much more powerful hardware these days than what was found in the original Xbox, so we can have more enemies and allies on screen to better convey the importance of various locations within the campaign. One example is the Silent Cartographer. If there is a map room that would give your enemies coordinates to the control room of a structure you worship, wouldn't you have a much larger fighting force than what was shown in the original campaign? The additional hunters alone make this location, this island, seem more valuable to the Covenant, as if they decided to move plenty of their troops that clearly outnumbered the Pillar of Autumns to shut down the UNSC's attempts at gaining any insight as to how to take control of this ring world, Halo. Yet, even if you don't care much of what's going on in the story and why you're there in the first place, more enemies in all of the right places make this level even more fun, especially when you see how committed and aggressive your allies are, more so than what's seen in retail.
Kept you waiting, huh? Forgot my cardboard box. Got him.
Well, as you can see, the UNSC Marines are not completely invincible in this mod, and even though they are scripted to keep their distance while using their firearms, sometimes they get too close to hunters. But then you'll have the next best thing, a Banshee. If you have to travel solo, because all of your UNSC Marines died, you might as well do it airborne. Admittedly, the elites with Needlers did make things difficult, as the Needlers cause a significant amount of vehicle damage and have that higher velocity I mentioned earlier. Once you have to make your way out of the Banshee and closer on foot to the Silent Cartographer room, you'll come across these engineers. This model was created by Bungie, but they were never added into the retail version of Halo Combat Evolved. You've likely seen these spawned in other videos on YouTube, but in this case, in this Revolved mod, they are being cosmetically implemented into the Silent Cartographer. They don't really do anything, they don't harm you, you can't kill them, they just sort of dick around a little bit in the interior portion of this level. It's nice having something that's moving around these rooms not want to kill you, as you will already have quite a challenge to take on as you descend further into the depths of this island. I've noticed mod creators have a tendency to increase the engagement range for both friendly and enemy AI. Doing so allows for more frantic firefights, which I'm a huge fan of. Bullets and plasma bolts are flying past you as nearly each Covenant troop and Marine are committed to eliminating one another, no matter how much ammunition it takes. Here is an example of the Covenant's vision and their commitment to shoot at me at a considerable range. While I could run off to the left and ignore them, I certainly wouldn't survive rushing over the bridge to their side to try to take them out. Since I decided to try to pop some shots off at them from behind the rock, and I tried to funnel them onto the narrow bridge, they instead kept me suppressed behind the rock, from the other side of the canyon. And inside the huge Forerunner cave of the first light bridge you activate, elites are trying to prevent me from activating the bridge from a considerable range. This made me just want to try and see if I could take them out with the weapons I had. There's something unique and fun about battling Covenant from a long range like this. Then, when you get up close to the Covenant, you are ducking in and out of cover, burst firing your more accurate assault rifle, before slipping back into cover while the Covenant shoot back. I personally like this type of gameplay where you exchange rounds with the Covenant instead of feeling like you're able to take on any sizable group of foes by just rushing in. If you want to rush in, you have to earn it first. Then when you have the ability to bring in the Marines, that careful cover-to-cover gameplay can subside a bit. I mean, look at these UNSC Marines. This improved AI is not messing around. Just listen to the AI go to work. It's great seeing and hearing the AI use the assault rifles like they are meant to be used. A slightly longer hold of the trigger. Alright, so I've talked enough about the improved AI, now for the changed color palette to the second level, Halo. In the lore, Chief lands on Halo in the early morning hours, so you will rally the troops and fight the Covenant in an orange misty dawn canyon. This change makes the level's environment look more appealing and more organic. This does resemble closer to Anniversary graphics, though keep in mind it is recommended you only use classic graphics for this Revolved mod. I really like how the mist dissipates as you travel throughout the level. It's not heavily dense and you can still see enemies from a distance. The entire exterior of this level feels warm and inviting, but entering the cold interior confines of the Forerunner structures throughout this level, you will feel a familiar haunting. Especially in the level 343 Guilty Spark. If you didn't think this could get any more spooky, Revolved proves otherwise. You'll either be using your flashlight or charging a plasma pistol to help light the way, whichever you prefer. Without a doubt, 343 Guilty Spark's outside portion of the level is to establish a mood for the player, rather than used for combat gameplay. Once you descend further into the level, the interior becomes flooded in this sickly greenish and yellowish murky lit environment. You'll see a green heavy grunt at the first door, but you know well of what true enemies lie ahead, and this new interior color palette will foreshadow that answer. Since the flood outbreak, the Forerunner structures are in lockdown protocol. Therefore, the mod creators made some of the corridor lights turn red instead of the more mystical blue color seen in retail. My favorite gameplay element to this level that's been implemented in Revolved is towards the end as you ascend back to the exterior. UNSC Marines and some Covenant grunts and jackals team up to escape this hellacious infested swamp.
After we lost contact with the rest of the mission, we headed to the RV point, and then these things, they ambushed us.
Since there is no friendly fire, grunts and jackals can catch some stray bullets and be completely fine, and will likely make it towards the end of the level with you and the Marines. This is so cool to see the grunts and jackals fighting alongside you and your human allies in this level. While it seems like a simple modification to the game, it speaks of a richer story of how much the Covenant truly fear the Flood. While the grunts can tremble, become cowards, and run off, they will still do their part at times and spot enemies for you that you had no idea were there. You know how I mentioned the interior lights of 343 Guilty Spark were red because of lockdown mode? Well, that's the same for the library. You'll see more red and amber lights instead of originally a calming blue color. The inundation of the flood spores from the murky mist coming through the library's vents wafts like cigar smoke in a motionless room. I really do like the visual changes of this level, but because of the AI changes, you'll find that playing the library on easy is going to be a challenge. This Revolved mod makes environments look more appealing no matter if the levels are meant to be horrifying, beautifully mysterious, or even downright desolate like the surrounding area of the Maw. With that said, not every detailed visual discrepancy found on the Gearbox PC port has been corrected in this mod, as limitations on modding can throw a wrench into a mod's intentions. But you can be sure that Revolved will ensure colossal interiors and natural outdoor environments will look better than the current retail version of the classic graphics for Halo Combat Evolved. Here are some cool details worth mentioning. Revolved comes with the option to change the preview picture of each level, and once you've made your selection, the loading screen will have the picture of the modded level instead of the Anniversary version. Wow, the mod creators went to great lengths to really allow you to feel like you are playing one complete mod with no hint of Anniversary graphics being present, even from the menu screen. Frag grenades will explode once they fall under a velocity threshold, so you can bounce them off of walls in close quarters or make them explode on impact from a far range. You can destroy the turret of the Covenant's Spirit dropship, which will have a nice plasma explosion to convey its plasma contents had just ignited. That same plasma explosion can be seen when you destroy a Covenant Banshee as well. You can find the long list of changes in this mod the creators put together in a Google Doc that is found on the Nexus mod page. To download this Revolved mod and view that Nexus mod page, click on the first link in the description of this video below. Time to enjoy the first Halo in a bigger, better way. This is Wiggly Ghibli. Thank you for watching.